Myles, welcome to Speaker Spotlight.
Thank you. Welcome to you too.
Thank you. It's so great to have you here. So tell me a little bit about your work, Myles, in the world of dyslexia and neurodiversity.
Well, I'm basically been a teacher for 28 years in special schools, mainly all kinds of special needs, and then an advisor for 10 years. And in the last sort of 11 years, I've been running my own business, which basically is an assistive technologist, and I work in the education and workplace sector. And during that time, I meet a lot of people with dyslexia, and um, and for some unknown reason, people consider me an AT, assistive technology expert in the area of dyslexia. So that's my background, as it were. So I mean, I obviously speak at conferences and do these kind of things that we're doing, and I've worked closely with Aaron on BDA association events as well.
And your insight is really invaluable, especially for young people or even adults who don't recognise they're neurodiverse or they're dyslexic. It's really your experience and knowledge can change somebody's life potentially, can't it, Myles?
Absolutely, and that's something that has come out in the filming that we're doing. I'm doing a talk on education, if you don't mind me talking about that, because it matches what you're saying, which is the power of assistive technology. And we've made a film series for schools that they can access for free. And many of those pupils had gone through a dyslexia journey, and they were telling us that once the technology came in, it transformed their lives. So that's really what you're saying in a nutshell about it being that kind of tool. Without it, they would struggle. And we had a parent who told us that she was also dyslexic, because you know dyslexia can run in families, and she was saying that her reports were usually Amanda needs to try harder, and she's trying as hard as she could. And she said if the technology was there, it would have taken away that barrier almost instantaneously. I'm not saying it's a cure for dyslexia, let's get that right, but it can certainly help things move on in a much more positive direction than not. Okay.
I mean, that's the sad thing of it, especially, if it's a later in life diagnosis or even a different generational diagnosis, the difference technology can make absolutely what you're saying there. It doesn't take away the dyslexia, but it can really help. I mean, I remember, so I'm dyslexic and my sister's also dyslexic. And the 4 years between us, she had a fantastic teacher who introduced her to brilliant technology, brilliant strategies. And you do feel a bit cheated in a way, thinking, oh, do you know if I would have had that?
I'm afraid that's the situation. We've got some great schools who do what you're saying, and then there are other schools who obviously are not doing so great. And one of the things that particularly struck me was the fact that many of our pupils that we filmed told us that they received no help at primary level, which was kind of really an eye opener for me, because as I said, I've worked in the field of supporting schools with a loan bank of equipment that we provided at all levels of education. So, so it's a kind of situation that exists in our schools. And of course, funding is the number one issue. I was at a teacher conference last week, and that we said, what are the barriers to you putting into practice the assistive technology? And the number one issue was funding, came out in every workshop that we did that day. And so schools are looking for what they can get for free. That's why we've given the films free. And also in the workplace, I do meet a lot of people with dyslexia issues, as well as other disabilities, in my supportive role as an assistive technologist for a company that's doing access to work. And you're right, in the adult world, it tends to be that you don't want to disclose because you feel that it's going to affect how people view you. Whereas it's just like any kind of disability, it's there, but you can find tools to help you get through it. And my job is to match the strategies. To strategies so important, I have to say. It's not just about training what the package can do, say whether it's dragon speech recognition or text help. It's about what would help you in your job role, and that's the major sort of thing that needs to be worked out, really. And that's why I think the talking, what do you want to do, how do you want to do it with the technology, is really important, so that the person can actually really match and use what they need. They don't need absolutely everything thrown at them without any kind of, well, we'll do this, what can I do to solve this problem? So that's why it's so important to talk at every level.
And that's where that positive communication comes, whether it's a teacher and a young person or a line manager and a colleague. It's so important. And a lot of people don't realise in the workplace, because you don't want to be seen as difficult or being a problem. But like you mentioned there perfectly, it's still a disability, it's a hidden disability. You are protected by the Equality Act, and you've got every right to request your company to provide you with the right software. And also saying, trial and error with it. Dragon might not work for everyone, so try saying this isn't working for me, I have another software. But people, I think they're scared of being seen as difficult, being seen as being a problem, or I hate to say it, a hindrance, because they don't want to say keep coming back with these problems. But it's about finding the right method that's right for you.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's a combination of different things, particularly, being able to change maybe the screen outlay, having a dark theme, which might actually help the text to be less daunting on a white page, black on white, and particularly the icons on the screen don't stand out on Microsoft Office. But so all of these little nuances and little changes can make a huge difference to somebody's capability to to do their job. And as you said, the main reason is to actually encourage them to be more functional, to get more functionality out of their technology in their workplace. And with these tools you can achieve in the school area. Some of the schools reported when the technology came in that their dyslexic students or special needs students were outperforming their peers, which to them was amazing, because the self-esteem issues that come across, and of course in the workplace that's also an issue. If you feel you can't do it, then you almost feel that you're not bright or clever. Whereas some of our pupils said, well, once the technology came in, I thought, well, I'm not stupid and I can do this. And in fact, I'm quite clever. So it has that positive effect for us.
It just shows how needed and how important your job is, Myles. Like, if instilling in people, it's not a case of intelligence, it's not a case of you're stupid or anything like that. It's just finding the right methods that work for you. But where can people access these videos, Myles? Because it'd just be fantastic for people to get hold of it, especially schools in harder to reach areas or haven't got the funding.
Well, obviously in the talk I'll tell you, but I'll tell you now too. It's barteronline.org/impact. And if you type that in to your browser, you will get to our page, our landing page. There's a little trailer there for 2 minutes. And then below that, it says get access. And what will happen is in less than 24 hours, you'll be given not just the films, but the what next, I've seen the films, what can I do next? And there's other resources to go in there. And it allies with another package that I'll be talking about as well. I've co-written a mini guide for NASON on assistive technology with my colleague from Scanning Pens, Julia Kluter. And so we have produced this little, it's a 48-page mini guide. Let me put it just there. And you can download this from the NASON website. So it's nason.org/AT mini guide. And you'll be able to get this copy. And it's a plan for Senkos and teachers. and suggested apps and methods. And it's a very practical guide. And so we're also saying that's part of the strategy, because pedagogy in schools is key. So, obviously we'll be showing that in the education part. In the parents section, I'm doing a talk on encouraging your child to achieve using assistive technology. So I've always viewed parents as partners. And so therefore, if they're engaged in their child's learning in a positive way, not in a forceful or over directive way, but in an encouraging way, it can pay benefits to pupils. So we'll be looking at the kind of things they can do at home, what technologies might help them for homework or for planning, which is obviously an organisation, which is an issue. So I'll be looking into all those things, as I do spend a bit of my time working with parents and interfacing with schools, not to challenge them, but to give information. For instance, I've got a call in January with a school who just want to find out more about what they can do to help. And that's the kind of conversation I'd like to have with schools. That's important.
It just shows how both the talks are so beneficial, because there's only so much schools can do, but also parents and caregivers, it's continuing that growth at home as well. And I couldn't recommend your talks, and I think it's going to be fantastic and really an eye-opening experience. But in the meantime, because the show's not till March, where can people find more about your work, Myles, and get in touch with you and access your services in the meantime?
I'm on Twitter at Myles Pilling, and I'm also on LinkedIn, and also my website, which is AAS, that's Accessibility Solutions, and it's 2 A's and an S, 123, that's numerals.com, and you'll be able to find me on there.